Okay, so today we are going to analyze a Martin Scorsese hater. So for some background, a writer named Sean Egan wrote a brutal critique of Martin Scorsese in a magazine called The Critic, and this went viral in the film community, which is no surprise because Martin Scorsese is a beloved filmmaker and one of the most famous directors of all time. So the article is actually in a section of The Critic's website called Sacred Cow, so you could see they criticize David Hockney, the New York Times, the Beatles, and the subject of today's video, Martin Scorsese. So let's get into it. Before we get started, this is not about the writer's opinion. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. You can hate Martin Scorsese if you want. I don't care about that. I'm simply analyzing the quality of writing. So what you're going to learn today is how to critique without looking like a troll, why you need to say good things about the people you hate, and why you must establish standards that guide your critiques. So just some notes. I copied the article into this presentation so we can analyze it paragraph by paragraph. The link to the original article is in the description below, and I will issue my score of the article at the end of this video. So why would you listen to me? My name is Michael. Come on, I've written tweets, love letters, press releases, apologies, articles, video scripts, books, 100-page reports, online dating ads, and I've been cited by the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Reuters, etc., everybody you see on the screen. You can pause it if you really want to read it. So let's start with the title and the subhead. The title is Martin Scorsese, Rinse and Repeat, Self-Indulgence, and the subhead is The Director of Goodfellas Has Debased His Talents. This is a very strong title and subhead. I'm a Martin Scorsese fan myself. I love Martin Scorsese, and I want to read what's next. And I just have to say, debased is a great word because it's almost like Martin Scorsese is degrading himself. That's the implication. So fantastic opening. Now let's go to the actual article open. In 1985, Martin Scorsese's career was at such a low ebb that he had to take the movie director equivalent of a menial job. Now, this negative open paints Sean as a Martin Scorsese hater. If he opened with a positive, he would actually be viewed as more even-handed. Now, why do positive opens work in negative critiques? It's because it builds credibility. It shows you've thought about all sides of an issue. It also builds drama because if you have a negative title, people expect only negatives. But if you open with a positive, people are waiting for you to drop the hammer. Like, for example, did you notice I opened this video on a positive when I complimented the title and the subhead? Same principle. I want you to know that I'm thinking about both sides of the issue. So let's move on to the body. The result is a debasing of his talent. New Scorsese films are routinely an hour too long. The truth, though, is that his directorial talent has never been as great as occasional masterpieces like Goodfellas tricked us into believing it was. Now, this is pure opinion, which is fine. Remember, everybody's entitled to their opinion. However, my issue is that it's overly wordy, and this could be a lot snappier. I'm almost getting the feeling that he's getting paid by the word. Now let's try to make it a little snappier. So you could read Sean's version on the screen. The truth, though, is that his directorial talent has never been as great as occasional masterpieces like Goodfellas tricked us into believing it was. My version is, the truth is that Scorsese masterpieces like Goodfellas are rare. Same point, and I made it in less than half the words. So if you want to make things snappier, always just cut out words and your writing will almost always be better. Let's move on. Perhaps we can forgive the gaucheries of Mean Streets on the grounds that it was Scorsese's first proper feature film. Even so, it's noticeable that it's not just overly episodic, but in places actively badly directed. Witness the, or I don't even know how to say this word, contretemps? I don't know. I don't speak French, even though I have a French last name. In the pool hole when Charlie and Johnny Boy push over Joey Scala's men to make their escape. So let's talk about this. So these words like gaucheries and I don't even know if I'm saying that right, and contra whatever, they're pretentious. Like, I'm sure there are simpler words that more people would understand. And I think this is, a general problem with film critics is that they can come off as a little pretentious. Also, there's just way too many adverbs. And again, this is way too wordy, which is a constant theme in this article. So let's make this part snappier. So Sean says, even so, it's noticeable that it's not just overly episodic, but in places actively badly directed. You can make the same point by just saying it's overly episodic and in places badly directed. Same point, about half the words, easier to read, easier to get through, much higher probability that you're actually going to make it to the end because it's so easy to read. Taxi Driver made Scorsese's name in 1976, but lacks momentum memorial, relying for its gritty power on the shock value of Jodie Foster's child prostitute character, and on it, constituting by simple happenstance a snapshot of a Big Apple that then seemed on an unstoppable ride to dystopia. So again, pure opinion, but same issue as previous passages. It's overly wordy, and it just like reeks of word salad. It's difficult to say it out loud or even read it. So not a fan at all of this very wordy, pretentious language. Keep going. New York is curiously soap opera-like, if reasonably entertaining, but 1980s Jake LaMotta biopic, Raging Bull, is quite simply across the board bad filmmaking. Now, this is where a lot of critics run into trouble. There's no basis of standards on what is good or bad here. Most people consider Raging Bull to be a classic film, so we need to get some sense of what is good and bad if you're going to call Raging Bull across the board bad filmmaking. All right, it can't be denied that Scorsese's career is speckled with genuine greatness. The king of comedy is a fine meditation, etc., etc., etc. Now he says After Hours is actually a very good and funny urban comedy and succeeded in its objective of edging Martin Scorsese back into contention. So this is a little confusing because at the beginning, it sounded like he kind of crapped on After Hours because it was such like a low budget film. So now he's saying it's good, so just a little confusing. Truly magnificent is Goodfellas, from its stylish construction to its brutally thought-provoking narratives to its blizzard of iconic scenes, etc., etc. Then he makes a comparison to The Godfather, actually saying it's better than The Godfather, which is a good thing. This is a good way to balance out the inherent negativity in the whole article. Now, this might have been something good to bring up at the beginning, that Goodfellas is better than The Godfather. But there's a lot of weird passive language in here, which I don't like. I mean, he could just say, Goodfellas is truly magnificent, or Goodfellas is excellent. Truly magnificent is Goodfellas is just goofy. All right, keep going. Since then, though Scorsese has lazily settled on mafia picture director as a main calling, this might be a worthwhile pursuit if it described an upward aesthetic gradient, but the fact that in Goodfellas he had already delivered the genre's ideal makes it instead a grand exercise in futility. So he should actually quantify how many of Scorsese's films have been mafia themed. This would add a lot of weight to his argument. For example, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, but let's say early in his career, 1 out of every 5 films was a mafia film, and now it's 1 out of every 2 films. I don't know off the top of my head. That's something that could have been figured out in like 2 minutes on IMDb, and I'm wondering why it's missing from this article. Keep going. It's also akin to obsessive-compulsive disorder. Casino and The Irishman contain broadly the same below, set pieces and morality lessons. Scorsese is simply moving the furniture around. Again, this is just pure opinion. I do have an issue in talking about morality lessons, because the thing is, like, morality lessons that are taught in films go back thousands of years to like the Bible and other religious documents. If you think about things like Cain and Abel, the whole idea of temptation from Adam and Eve, like those lessons go back forever, and they're going to be in films thousands of years from now. So I really don't think that's an issue. Okay, The Irishman took this rinse and repeat casting to a risible breaking point, et cetera, et cetera. Again, just pure opinion. This is fine, but again, more just like word salad with this complex language. Fine offerings like The Aviator and Shutter Island might sporadically show that Scorsese still has it. Ironically, this is funny. I love Martin Scorsese. I think Shutter Island is a terrible film. But pure opinion, fine, let's move on. Okay, now this is where things get really goofy. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight one sentence on the screen. Scorsese doesn't really believe in cinema. That is just hilarious. Do you know why? Can you guess why? It's because it's mind reading. He's literally mind reading one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. And I'll just add peroration. I don't even know what that means. I'm not even going to bother looking it up. But in general, it is a bad idea to mind read other people. Now we have a great sentence opening here. The most pathetic and petty example of that postmodernism was Scorsese ostentatiously and vengefully superimposing a black bar over an airplane ticket in Goodfellas because an image-protective American Airlines had refused to allow the director to show its logo. Now, I will say this, pathetic and petty are very good words. I really like those. But I mean, if covering a logo is the worst of it, is it really that bad? I don't think so. Okay, let's keep going. Scorsese pioneered the use of everyday music in soundtracks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yet while Scorsese is to be applauded for his insistence on the legitimacy of popular music as underscore, his use of it is fatuous. Again, this is pure opinion, and just like random note, why use words like fatuous? Why not just say silly? What relevance does George Harrison's romantically worshipful "What is Life" have to the scene in Goodfellas where frazzled Henry and Karen are doing a drug deal, etc., 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 talking about a love song like the Ronettes' Be My Baby and Mean Streets. Here, I'm going to actually say his opinion is wrong. I know I wasn't supposed to do this. I lied at the beginning of the video, but I think the opinion here is wrong. I think Martin Scorsese does a great job with music. And also, here's another thing to consider. If there wasn't Self-Indulgence, it wouldn't be a Martin Scorsese movie. Like, Self-Indulgence is a big part of what Martin Scorsese is all about. So, like, he wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Self-Indulgence. So, but that's more of an issue of the author just needing to, like, reflect a little bit. Okay, now this is where I think we might be getting trolled really, really hard. Scorsese recently slammed the Marvel Cinematic Universe, asserting that its component films are sensationalist and empty. In fact, thoughtfulness and rationalism suffuse every single one of them. Every single one of them? I mean, have you seen Thor 2? There are some clunkers in the Marvel universe. And also, why must films be thoughtful and rational? Like, we go to see movies to escape. You know, entertainment, sheer entertainment is a big part of it. Not everything has to be thoughtful and rational. In fact, sometimes the whole point of a movie is that it's thoughtless and irrational because that can make it fun. And, you know, this leads me to another question. Like, should films be made for critics or regular people? Okay, this brings us to the end. And here we have just a big old pile of word salad. I'm not even going to try to say it out loud because I don't think I am capable. I think this should just have a stronger, simpler conclusion because this is sort of an emotionally based article. So I think he should just flat out say, like, again, Martin Scorsese is overrated or he's debased his talent or whatever it is. I think simple, simple, simple. So let's talk about what Sean did right. First of all, fantastic topic. Remember, the section on the website is Sacred Cows, where they slay sacred cows, which is an important part of criticism. So he picked a fantastic topic because Martin Scorsese is universally beloved. And if he wants to be the guy to stand up and say, hey, this is why I don't like him, I think that's great. Also, fantastic title and fantastic subhead. Also had some really, really great word choices like pathetic, debased, petty. Those are fantastic words. On the other hand, what did he do wrong? It's extremely wordy, so it's very tedious to read. If you notice in this video, I stumbled a lot because I could not get the words out. Also, lots of pretentious language choices, and the opening was too negative. So from the very beginning, we knew this was going to be very, very unbalanced, and he lost the opportunity to get people on his side by seeing more open-minded. Most of all, he failed to establish why other people like Martin Scorsese and failed to establish what makes a movie good or bad. As a result, this article is basically the sentence, I just don't like Martin Scorsese, stretched out to over 1,000 words because he doesn't say, this is why other people like Martin Scorsese, and I'm going to explain why those people are wrong. And he doesn't say, these are my standards for a good movie or a bad movie, and this is how Martin Scorsese's filmography fits into that. Okay, final score on this video, I am giving it a 44 out of 100. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think Martin Scorsese is a hack? Do you think he's amazing? And make sure you like the video, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, because I have a lot more writing analysis videos coming soon. I'll talk to you later. Bye.